Henry by Charles Bukowski, Chapter 48. So you couldn't call a job for a week? We were eating meatballs and spaghetti. My problems were always discussed at dinner time. Dinner time was almost always an unhappy time. I didn't answer my father's questions. What happened? My did they can your ass? I didn't answer. Henry, answer your father when he speak to you, my mother said. He couldn't have it, that's all. Look at his face, said my mother. It's all bruised and cut. Did your boss beat you up, Henry? No, mother. Why don't you eat, Henry? You never seem to be angry. He can't eat, said my father. He can't work. He can't do anything. He's not worth a fuck. Uh, you shouldn't talk that way at the dinner table, Daddy, my mother told him. Well, it's true. My father had an immense ball of spaghetti rolled on his fork. He jammed it into his mouth and started chewing, and while chewing, he speared a large meatball and plunged it into his mouth, then worked in a piece of French bread. I remembered what Ivan had said in the Brothers Karamazov. Who doesn't want to kill the father? As, my father chewed at the mass of food. One long string of spaghetti dangled from a corner of his mouth. He finally noticed it and sucked it in noisily. Then he reached, put 2 large teaspoons of white sugar into his coffee, lifted the cup and took a jam mouthful, which he immediately spit out across his plate and onto the tablecloth. That shakes too hot. You should be more careful, Daddy, said my mother. I combed the job market, as they used to say, but it was a treaty and useless routine. You had to know somebody to get a job, even as a lowly boy, bus boy. As everybody was dishwasher, the whole town was full of employed dishwashers. I sat with them in Persian Square in the afternoons. The evangelists were there too. Some had drums, some had guitars, and the bushes and restaurants and crowded with homosexuals. Some of them have money. A young told me, this guy took me to his apartment for 2 weeks. I had a good eat and drink, and he bought me some clothes, but he sucked me right. I couldn't stand up after a while. And one night when he was asleep, I crawled out of there. It was horrible, horrible. He kissed me once and I knocked him across the room. "You ever do that again," I told him, "and I kill you. I'll kill you." Clifton Cafeteria was nice. If you didn't have much money, they let you pay what you could. And if you didn't have any money, you didn't have to pay. Some of the bums went in there and ate well. It was owned by some very nice rich old man, a very unusual person. I could never make myself go in there and load up. I go in for a coffee and apple pie and give them a nickel sometimes. I get a couple of winnies. It was quiet and cool in there and clean. There was a large waterfall, and you could sit next to it and imagine that everything was quite all right. Phillips was nice too. You could get a cup of coffee for 3 cents with all the refills you wanted. You could sit in there all day drinking coffee and they never ask you to leave no matter how bad you look. They just ask the bums not to bring in their wing and drink in there. Places like that gave you hope when there wasn't much hope. The many Persian square argued all day about whether and there was a good or not. Most of them didn't arc very well, but now and then you got a religionist and a days who were well versed, and it was a good show. When I had a few coins, I'd go to the underground bar beneath the big movie house. I was 18, but by the serve me, I looked like I could be almost any age. Sometimes I looked 25, sometimes I feel like 30. The bar was run by Chinese who never spoke to anyone. All I needed was the first beer, and then the homosexuals would start booing. I switched to whiskey sours. I'd bleed, and then for whiskey sours, and we started closing in on me. I'd get nasty, push off, and leave. After a while, they go uh, on, and the place wasn't any good anymore. The library was the most depressing place I went. I had run out of books to read after a while. I would just grab a thick book and look for a young girl somewhere. There were always one or two about. I sit 3 or 4 chairs away, pretending to read the book, trying to look intelligent, hoping some girls would pick me up. I knew that I was ugly, but I thought if looked intelligent enough, I might have some chance. It never worked. The girls just made notes on their packs and they got up and left. I watched their bodies moving rhythmically and magically under the clean red dresses. What would Maxine Gorky have done under such circumstances? At home, it was always the same. The question was never asked until after the first few bites of dinner were partaken. Then my father would ask, did you find a job today? No. Did you try anywhere? Many places. I began back to some of the same places for the second or third time. I don't believe it. But it was true. It was also true that some companies put ads in the papers every day when there were no jobs available. It gave the employment department in those companies something to do. It also wasted time and screwed up the hopes of many desperate people. You'll find a job tomorrow, Henry. My mother would always say. Chapter 49. I looked for a job all summer and couldn't find one. Jimmy Hatcher called on an aircraft plane. Hitler was acting up in Europe and creating jobs for the unemployed. I had been with Jimmy that day when we had turned in our applications. We filed the note in similar fashion. The only difference being where it said the place of birth. I put down Germany and he put down reading palm. Jimmy got a job. He came from the same school and he's your age, said my mother. And why couldn't you get a job at the aircraft plant? They can't tell a man who doesn't have a taste for work, said my father. All he wants to do is to sit in the bedroom on his dead ass and listen to his symphony music. Well, the boy likes music. That's something, but he doesn't do anything with it. He doesn't make it useful. What should he do? He should go to a radio station and then he likes that kind of music and get a job broadcasting. Chris, it's not done like that. It's not that easy. What do you know? Have you tried it? I tell you, it can't be done. My father put a large piece of pork chop into his mouth, a greasy portion hung out from between his lips as he chewed it. It was if he had 3 lips. Then I sucked it in and looked at my mother. You see, Mama, the boy doesn't want to work. My mother looked at me. Henry, why don't you eat for food? It was finally decided that they would enroll at LA City College. There was no tuition tuition fee and second-hand books could be purchased at the co-op bookstore. My father was simply ashamed that he was employed, and by going to school, I would at least earn some respectability. Any lacrosse Valley had already been there. A tour counseled me. What's the easiest fucking thing to take? I asked him. Journalists. Those journalists and majors don't do anything. Okay, I'll be a journalist. I looked through the school bucket wax and did orientation. They speak of her. Oh, yeah, you just skip that. That's bullshit. Thanks for telling me, buddy. We'll go instead to that bar across from campus and have a couple of beers. Then, right. Yeah.